and welcome to Illustrator practice exercise number 7. The first thing you folks need to do is in Canvas, make sure that you pull up this Illustrator practice exercise 7 worksheet. You're going to upload that into Illustrator. All right, that's step 1. Once you open that up into Illustrator, you'll notice a couple things. First of all, you'll have this beautiful little pug staring you down, going, "Don't mess with my face." But unfortunately, we're not going to listen, and we're going to mess with its face. When you open this file up, you'll notice a couple things. First things first, there's two layers that you'll have in this particular file. A pug image file, a pug image layer, and a type path. When you work on this, you want to make sure that your pug image is locked. You'll see, so lock that. And by locking that, what that'll do is ensure that when you are playing with this particular worksheet that you don't mess with the actual image. All right. And the next thing that you need to make sure that you do is, rather than have this highlighted, when you work on this particular project, make sure that you have this layer highlighted, the type path 1. Now you'll find that maybe later down the road, as you're working on different values on this particular project, you might need to go in and create new layers. New layers. So you might find that you do multiple layers of text, for example. So for me, I might just do type path 2. And that way I'll have these green path lines and say, okay, so now I'll have multiple layers. All right, so it's okay to make as many layers as you want for doing this particular exercise. Now the whole point of this particular exercise is learning how to create a path in which you can send your typeface on. And it's actually pretty easy, but what's cool about Illustrator is that you could actually do it. It's really hard to do in Photoshop, and being that this is a vector-based program, it makes it real easy to have very successful results. Your goal for this particular assignment is to basically create this guy's face out of type. Now, the type that we want you guys to use is the word pug. Being that this is a pug, we want you to essentially just create his whole face out of type using the word pug. So let me show you how to do that. So the first thing is you want to come over to the pen tool, this guy over here, your friend that you've come to know and love in this class. And whenever you see an area where there's a differentiation in value. So for example, here it's black, right? And here it's white. And we want to illustrate the black section of, say, his face right here. What you should do is I would outline it. So come in with your your pen tool, click right here. And remember, if you click right here to create your first anchor point and you want it to bend around a certain section, click again, and while pushing down on your mouse, click and pull until you get close to the edge of that shape that you're trying to replicate. Now you'll see here a fill popped up, and when you're working on this particular project, we don't want any fill, we don't want any stroke. So you need to come over here and ensure that the fill is X through or is none, and that your stroke is none as well. There should be no color in these at all when you're just working with the pen tool. So for example, here I have this nice path, and perhaps let's just say that I just want to keep going. And you'll notice like that disappeared for a second. Don't worry. Close this anchor point down just so that one handlebar disappears, and pull that there. And come over here. So now I have like a pretty cool path for my typeface to follow. Once you have that in place, then it's time to go and start to create your text so that it follows that path. And you can't just use any particular typeface tool. You have to come over here, click, and you'll see this is the original type tool. You want to make sure you're working with this particular tool right here, the type on a path tool. So I got that. It looks like it's a T, going down a slide. You have the right one if you click on that. Click on that guy, and then come down here, and where you first started your path, click on that. And you'll notice there'll be like this blinking dash. And that basically signifies that it's ready to send your type down the slide. Now, working with the type tools, you'll notice a couple of things. If you come up into this window up here, this is where you can select the typeface that you want to work with. I have a bigger library than you guys. Unfortunately, we can't upload new typefaces onto your computer, so you just have to use what you have. But you're welcome to use a serif or sans serif typeface, whatever you feel will work for this little guy. I'm just using good old Arial. It's just a very simple sans serif font. Next, you can manipulate it though, and you can change it to a bold font face, italicized, bold italicized, regular. And over here, this is where you change the scale or the size of your font. So 57. Okay, so I'm working with a pretty big guy right here. I'm probably going to scale that down just a tad. Oh, a lot actually. So click here. I'll probably go back down to 14. And then last but not least, once I have the size, you can see it's real small here. Remember, you could hit Control Plus to zoom in and look at it. And the next thing I want to do is, since this is black in here, I want to use a fill for my type that is black. So you can see here. Now if I wanted to change it to say maybe a light gray or darker gray, excuse me, I'd double click on that and then come over here, and this is where you can change the value of your typeface. So I'm going to go kind of not black, but mostly black. Now you'll see over here this little box pops up. And what this means is that it's a web color. So this isn't true to what the web would look like, but this is the closest thing to it. So I always click on this because I'm making this image for the web. And hit OK. And when you're ready, you could either use the whole word pug, or you can use just peas. P, 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 P. P, 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 P. And see how it just goes all the way around? You could have used all U's, all G's. And there you have it. Now, if you just kept going, you kept hitting it, see how everything disappeared right there, and there's this little plus mark that popped up? What that means is the type just kind of fell off the path and dribbled down into the back of this guy's head. No, just kidding. So in order to get your typeface back, just hit delete a couple times until the P pops back up. Now you could extend this path and get that type back if you want, but for now in the beginning, just hit delete just to get your overall typeface back in your hands there. Now once you're done, and if you like that, come over here to your toolbar and click on the direct selection tool. And what that'll do is that'll just kind of unselect that whole path, and you're ready to go and start building out your next path. Now, I'm going to keep working on this guy in here. So I'll hit my my pen tool. And I want to have this triangle right here filled with a particular typeface. So I'm going to click on that. I'll come over here and click on that to create like a little path. Oh, see, I got that fill there. I got to go back in, make sure that my fill is X'd out. And now I'm going to come back in with my type on a path tool and click on my path. And I might, just to be creative, I might go P and then like the next layer do all U's. So U, 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 U. And you'll see it'll start to overlap. Oh, there's that plus. I'm going to hit delete. Now I want this to be bigger, so I'm going to come back in and select it all. And this is where I can come up and manipulate it just to maybe make it a little bit bigger. Also too, I want to change the color, so I'll double click my fill. And I want it to be a little lighter. You'll see that's kind of a little more true. Like this value looks a little bit more like this value, kind of. And then I'll click on this because I want it to be web ready and hit OK. Now, what's cool is you could also select it and move it all around. Like you could like send your type back this way. So if you didn't want it upside down, if you select it, you can like send it all around that path. And then you could also use your arrow buttons to move them up and down. And if you want, like as you start to build this whole thing out and you start to get more and more value with your letters, if you want to see what the words are looking like without the typeface, remember you can come over here on your layers and poke this eye out, and you could start to see what the image is starting to look like. Now there's everybody's project's going to look a little bit different than other folks. Your goal is just to get as much detail as possible just so that you could practice. And in the end, what you're going to get is something similar to this. Now, this doesn't have a lot of detail, but still this would fit the bill for this particular exercise. So if you guys want to at least get something that's this graphic that still communicates your pug, you've done everything right. If you need any help, ask me or ask Ms. Dumovich. We're here for you. We hopefully you have some fun. You need to learn how to do this stuff because when you get to the final project, you're going to be using similar skills to build your final poster. All right, thank you folks. Have a good day. Bye.